hezký poster tam. Ale krňácký, starý. Oproti tomu, jaký dělají teďka trash, že?
Okay, we are live, guys. Yes, online. Bonjour à tous, merci de nous retrouver. On est ravis aujourd'hui de recevoir Bastl Instruments pour la première fois à Modularsquare. Donc voilà, ils viennent d'arriver, ils viennent de s'installer. La petite introduction sera en français, mais après on va passer en anglais. Et voilà, ils vont vous présenter un petit peu leur histoire. Vous allez voir que y a une vraie culture du DIY très intéressante qu'on ne connaît pas forcément en France. On la connaît un petit peu, mais pas aussi bien que là-bas. Et ils ont plein de modules intéressants à nous présenter. Donc voilà, welcome to Bastl Instruments.
Bonsoir.
Yeah!
It's a really pleasure to be here, and thanks for hosting us to Modularsquare and Mark and Cyril. We are Bastl Instruments.
Yeah!
Václav and I am Ondřej, and it's a pleasure to meeting you here, and I hope you will have fun tonight. Let me share the... I mean, like, we are going to share our thoughts about the system and about the instruments and also about our culture. And we are talk a lot, and sometimes you get dry here, you know.
And like modular is about tuning frequencies, and we can tune the brainwaves in a similar way.
So let's tune the brainwaves. Well, in the beginning, we would like to tell you something about us, who we are, and why we are doing actually what you can see and what we are doing, and how we came to the point that we are making synthesizers, and why we are actually working with the DIY scene, and we are selling as like DIY kits as well. But it's not only that we are selling DIY kits, but like all the modules and all the instruments we are producing are actually done by us and our friends and the collective around. So it's all handmade, and it's all produced in our country. And mostly in our city, and it's not just because there is because it's cheap or it's you know, and whatever reason. It's more based on our like focus to keep everything kind of local and like kind of try to support the local community, and the support should be done in different ways. Some people, they just need the money, you know. Like when you are like a bit over 50 in Czech Republic, it's kind of hard to find a job, and then you probably need some like nice small like home job to do something and watching TV. And when you are young enthusiast, loving synthesizers and having not enough money to buy what you like to buy, you also appreciate a little bit of income from doing something what you like maybe. And also good to have people opportunity to kind of be around, you know, because there is so many musicians in our city who are working in a kind of shitty jobs, you know, warehouse or office work, but music is in their mind all the day, you know, and they are thinking about synthesis, about stuff, but they are doing something totally different. And then, like, these people are usually coming to us and saying, hey, I'm doing this and that. And so we are kind of community which is growing by these people who are coming, and we are hiring all these people. So it's more like, you know, like structure of people who are happy just to be around, and we are happy to have them around because it's always good to have great musicians around which can also provide some ideas and thoughts about how this module can be and what they need, and that's it. And then we are in the beginning. We started this project like couple of years, 5-6 years ago, because 5? 5 years?
Less than 5.
Less than 5. Less than 5. Because we were looking for something what we have. I don't know. Maybe you had some desire for some sound, for some instrument, and it was not on the market, right? Or it was, but it was just like ridiculously expensive. And at this point, we just like decided to be those who can like fulfill our needs, like doing something, like looking for the cool sound or for like instrument we are missing. And we started with a really simple digital synthesizer called Frangelico, and it was for us like, okay, that's the sound, you know. It was truly digital. We were just like on there, like ones and zeros. The code was actually going to the speakers, and an amplifier was changed to the sound. Yeah.
Yeah, it was too much. They started to write true analog on synthesizers, you know. So we made a true digital one.
Yeah, we were claiming this is the true digital synthesizer. So we are really getting this code into the amplifier. But it's good to say that in Czech Republic and in this Eastern Bloc, because there was no market with the stuff, and also people were more, you know, there was not like good TV in the communist time, and so the people were looking for some fun, exactly. And some of those they went camping, you know, like every week or something. But there were some guys who just spent their weekends and their nights and their lives by like soldering and developing, inventing different stuff. And of course, there were some guys thinking about the instrument itself. The time there was no chance actually to buy some of the Rolands or any other drum machines or cool synthesizers. And these dudes and this movement, I call it movement, even it was just like a leisure time activity or something. It was called Bastl. And we are by our name referring to this movement rather than the engineering way to develop musical instruments.
So like I'm just saying like movement, Bastl. It sounds like you know, but in Czech language when you hear like something is Bastl, it's really funny, you know. It's like it's very poetic. It's like if you fix something with a duct tape, you know. It has a little bit of this like poetry that you like make things that work somehow, and. But mostly, like when people talk about Bastl, it refers to DIY electronics, and it's a slang word. Like, not everybody knows it, but most of the people do. And yeah, it's really nice.
It's like the word funky. Well, in American,
funky
is something that's cool, but you know, done with tape. You know,
with alright, yeah.
There is also a big chance that it's not working. And so like what is and when we started this, we were just like thinking about, come on, there were so many guys like making crazy or genius instruments and modifying televisions to get like crazy signals just for fun. It was never considered as an art for them, you know. It were just like some, you know, expressing themselves by doing something. And so once we started to just like discover who and how big it was, then we realized that our fathers were soldering like all the crazy things and fixing whatever was broken, and then we found that there was no electronic trash during the 70s because everything was disassembled to the parts again and recycled in new stuff. And then we found that like there were some kind of like activities for the really small kids, and they were soldering crazy stuff like 8-bit computers. And because, you know, like once you are you really want to have the Sinclair or other like 8-bit computer, and it's not on the in the wallet of the parents, you know. Like, hey, I really need this. No, I'm sorry. It's like it's 2 months salary or 3 months salary. I'm sorry. Okay, then we know these stories about the kids who really just decided I just must have this computer, and it was a girl actually, 10 years old, and she was just like learning to solder and solder herself the computer. And today it sounds kind of crazy, right? Like, okay, I will solder me a computer. Yeah, but at some point, like during 80s, early 90s, it was really possible to do so. It's nice. Right now, my younger brother. My younger son is only 3 months, so he's not in soldering at all yet. But my younger brother, he is 18 and he was born in like half of 90s, and he really doesn't remember anything about the soldering, about the Bastl movement, about nothing, because that time it was the television gets better, you know. Also some cool videotapes, like these action movies came and all this stuff, and also our parents, it just started to be possible to buy some stuff, and it just disappeared somehow. It's it's somewhere hidden, like some guys are still the same hardcore like electronic guys, and guess where you can meet them?
We know.
In a shop with the electronic parts.
Yeah.
It's something what stayed actually from that time.
Yeah. I don't know, like, is there a shop when you can walk in and buy resistor, capacitor and op amp? Is there a shop like that? Yeah.
Yeah, but it's very specific. It's not, yeah.
We are like our city is not so big actually.
Our city is like 400,000, and there is 5 shops.
But some of them are really special. Like old dude, you know, having really weird stuff there.
You can still find the stuff he took out from a broken TV. He's selling it.
Yeah.
And there is this one big shop where we usually went to buy, and there is always a line of people waiting for the components. Like always people like waiting, especially on Friday and Saturday before the weekend starts.
Friday, Saturday, it's like 40 minutes. So you just come in and 40 minutes waiting, and then we realized like there are some ways how to get some information. You know, you have some circuit, something is not really clear for you, something, and then the best where to ask is actually in this queue, you know. Monsieur, and like they are like brilliant minds in the queue, but you just don't know, you know. There's just like bunch of dudes waiting for parts to have something to solder during the weekend. So they are still somewhere. It's not exposed anymore. It's not like you can meet them. It's not a community. It's not a movement. It's nothing like that. They are just like these local, like lonely wolves soldering somewhere in the garage or something, and then buying parts in the same place where we were buying, or we are buying parts. So that's the place we can use, guys. And then just sometimes you meet somebody and then I know some guy who did this, and recently I met one guy who just like came to me and this is interesting. I remember I was working on something similar in 80s. And then I just realized that this one guy, he was working on the great synthesizer from 80s. Yeah.
Called Čísly zvuk. It was there was only like one modular synthesizer built in the communist times in Czech Republic, and it was Čísly zvuk. It was 3 units made. 3 units were made. Yeah, it was built in a research lab of the broadcasting TV company.
But it's hard to find these guys, you know. Even you know the name, who was behind. There is no chance to get them, to talk with them, to just come and say, hey, I really admire what you did. You are like the local hero, you know. You just did something what is not like past. It's so important till today, you know. It's so important to us because we are not actually like we are doing what they started, you know. We are not like we came with the idea and doing something new. No, we just like we are following these dudes, you know, these old guys.
Yeah.
And so it's always like luck when we meet somebody like this.
Yeah.
Recently we met one guy who was developing the synthesizer in early 80s, and he published everything in a DIY magazine. All the circuitry, everything, also PCBs, you can etch those and like build it up. And we just visited this dude, and he was so surprised that somebody actually know his work. And it was like, hey, we are here because, or we would like to visit you, sir, because we really admire like your work on this DIY stuff, and your synthesizer is amazing. And he was like, who is calling? What are you talking about? The synthesizer. Unisono. Yeah, you know this? Nobody actually contacted me for the decades about that. Only one dude who asked me to fix it. And then we came there, and he showed us like totally different, like unknown synthesizer from that time. The name of this one is Electron.
And it's actually analog polyphonic organ combined with a drum machine.
Analog drum machine.
Analog drum machine. There is a like bass line arpeggiator, something like that, and it's really super cool. And there is even something like a BBD delay built in.
Did you make some video?
Yes.
Yeah.
And like this dude, he was kind of showing us this is something I did before. I can show you how it sounds. And then, you know, he has these pedals for the brakes of the drum loops. So it's like and then he was playing like keyboard, and on the left hand, it's accordion. This so he used the buttons from the accordion for the bass line.
I've seen this video on your websites. Yeah,
I think so.
Okay.
And there he has some arpeggiators on this, and it sounds so cool. But he's playing the really like local it's not folk music. It's like folklore
music, like just local songs, you know, about love
and it's like
about how you got drunk.
and those songs are usually like, you know, when you are singing while drinking wine, you know, like this kind of like old school, really old songs. And he's playing this, but he actually he don't know how it sounds when you play it with such a machine, you know. He was just like, yeah, it was early 80s, he was a bit into the electronics, and he was looking for some instruments he can play with his band, also called Electron, and they were playing for the people while drinking wine, you know, just like really village. Yeah, it's nice. And we were like, okay, that's really cool, we are going to organize some event, can you actually play there, a concert? And he was, I don't know, concert, I can do the demo, it can be like 6 songs maybe. Because for him, the concert means playing 8 hours to people who are drinking and dancing, you know, like in the wine cellar. So
and he's over 80, so,
so
he wasn't sure about the concert.
So he told me, I'm not sure about the concert, and then I will just play 6 songs. Like, come on, man, like, what does it mean, concert? You know, when we play, you know, it's all night. Yeah, so yeah, we went to this I started to talk about these guys just to give you an image of, they are no engineers, you know, they are engineers in Czech, of course, but these guys, they are not engineers. They are just like passionate for electronics and for the music, and some of the machines are not working, and we heard about machines which are really lost, but it's still very valuable for us just to see or to know that these guys, they were like developing like or materializing the crazy ideas they had, and we are proud to say, okay, we are the next generation of these dudes, and we just continue what they started. I'm pretty sure it was everywhere, like everywhere in the world the same. Just somewhere it disappeared a little bit before, like, and we just don't remember. As my brother doesn't remember like all these things that like guys in some other countries, even fathers don't remember, and sometimes it just disappeared a bit before.
And you are getting to the point why we do synthesizers, right? Actually, like, we applied to some festival and we wanted to make like a memorial of these people, just to talk about it like this. And we organized a workshop, and we've been building some circuits, and we made very simple synthesizer on the workshop. It was funny, and it was pretty much like the first real thing we did with people. We gave out for other people to play, and yeah, that was the first thing. But we had in mind something a little bit different. But then there was one summer, and I went to some village, and I spent working whole summer on just with this circuit board and developing ideas like what's possible to build. And yeah, and then we just filmed it on a video, and people starting to ask us, hey, come make workshop, hey, I want to buy this, and we're like, what? Like, are you serious? And yeah, that was pretty much how it started for us. And it was just, we wanted to like say, hey, that there's something like really amazing happening, and yeah, then it turned out to be a really nice story that people like, and it's something very inspiring to work with, like with this legacy. Yeah.
So while we travel with the workshops and people are inviting us to do so, we are always trying to tell them our background and share the stories and the history, and we are also trying to collect the stories and some like this old school DIY stuff as well, just like to put a hands on it, and we are trying to explain the local people that it's not trash, it's not a garbage at all, it's a treasure even it's not working, and we are trying to kind of change this like historical something to kind of movement or something. We just want to take this out and say, hey, this was really important, and there is more guys actually who are like thinking about the same. So it's the only way how to do that is actually make an interviews with all these people and just like save it for the future and say it really happened. It's not like it's not dying with this old masters. It's not a garbage. It's not at all. We just decided that it's important to keep it.
Very good idea.
Yeah, it's only what we can do, and it's only logical. So we are also like, yeah.
So are you planning to do some maybe DVD for that, because it's really interesting and we all want to see that, but you need maybe to translate it also.
Yes, we are now collecting some stuff, and we started also to collaborate with guys from Erika Synth from Latvia, because their background is pretty much the same. So they are also collecting some stuff and making interviews. So right now there are like 2 countries in this Eastern Bloc working on this. I mean, like there was this Moscow movie, right? So it's yeah, that's it, So Electromoscow.
Yeah.
So yeah, well, one day hopefully there will be some DVD or more
film,
or a website with the interviews, with the circuits, schematics, and tips and tricks, because we are also asking for those. And these guys, they are sharing, it's not like I made some circuits. No, it's just like, if you are interested in this stuff, take the documentation, bam, and you can go through it and share it.
Yeah. So maybe you didn't know we're doing this, but it's something we really love to do. But unfortunately, lately we are quite busy because people are crazy about modular.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Seems to, yeah.
So yeah, and we happened to make modular too, and yeah, we're trying to make everybody happy, which takes a lot of time, and but it's a great thing to do. So and also, I think you mentioned that we have a community. We are a bunch of guys in the city, like sitting there, building it for other people, and they're all musicians, and they are building the instruments for them for cheap, and we're sort of like growing this community also. And yeah, we just do it in very inefficient way if you look at it from a capitalist perspective. But yeah,
but also in some kind of natural way. You know, it's just we are not really pushing to change the city or change the country or change the world. Even we are like keeping all this in mind. So like we are happy to do the workshops and talk with people, do the workshops in Czech, and we opened the shop in Czech Republic just because, you know, we were working on the modulars and modules, and we had like this stuff. And when somebody asked me, and what is your job? Well, we are making the modular synthesizers. What's that? Come on. Nobody actually knows, you know, like what's going on, because it was more like when you have money, you spend it for a Roland, you know, or Cork, and
Moog.
or when you have more money, then you buy Moog, yeah. And it was so this like lack of informations went to the point that we just decided, okay, let's open the shop, let's do some workshops in the shop explaining stuff, and we are not actually expecting that shop will be like really
profitable
business.
Because seriously, like there is not really a market for that. It's way beyond the price range of what people can afford there. But yeah, when people can build it themselves, then it's sort of getting into their reach. So we're trying to sort of build it.
And I always say that the best way how to buy anything is actually to visit your local store, right? Because it's really hard to actually do the decisions by yourself or myself. Like for me, it's totally hard, you know, to decide what to get, and I always need a help with the decision, and then I'm happy when I have something. Like, so I'm asking Václav, hey Václav, and he knows what I have, or I can tell him, you know. It's like in a shop, just this is my shopkeeper.
The advisor.
The advisor, exactly.
Consultant.
And it's so important, and so the shop is more or less like people are coming there and asking, I have this Roland 626 and I have to synchronize it with Korg Volca bass. It's just support for the community.
And it's really cool because now there is a lot of like teenage guys coming, and yeah, so there is something really growing. Yeah, I'm really. Yeah, it's gonna be something nice.
New generation.
Yeah, seems like the new generation has like a bit different approach than like the older one. You know, it's all changing. It's not only cultural, but it's a lot somehow. So when like the Iron Curtain fall down, it was for the fathers and for all these dudes. It was time like to get all these Yamahas. There was one really good seller of Yamaha in Czech. He is now working for Yamaha in Japan. And he actually just convinced everybody to sell all the vintage gear and buy Yamaha stuff. His digital stuff. He was really good in that. Yeah, there are some musicians, but There is not this like old school stuff anymore. Once it's a really small kind of scene, I would say. So
Great. Thanks for all this. It was very interesting.
yeah.
Short intro.
Short intro.
Yeah. Please, that's another round. It's about the time to do that. And I think most of you want to know a bit about the modules we do, right? Yeah.
I think it's you can explain from the beginning. I think it's a bit.
Yeah. So, what do we have? Huh? It's quite some modules.
What was the first one you made?
Like the first one I made was a Quattro Figaro. It's a quad VCA, and there is mix output, so it's voltage controlled mixer. There is some voltage inverter, so you can use it for crossfading or voltage controlled panning, and like all these like little tricks that you can do with VCAs. But it's made in a way that it's sort of easy to do that. So there's like a first. I still have the prototype. It's really funny how it's built, but yeah. That was sort of the first one, and when I actually started to build the module, I was working on my diploma thesis in an art school, and I was trying to figure out a way how processes in the real world could communicate through some unified language, and I chose control voltage, and yeah, and so basically. The idea of this was that you can take some sensor inputs, like, I don't know, light or temperature or wind or whatever, your pulse, convert it to control voltage, and then take this and use it for controlling, let's say, motor, like a fan, for example. So if you can have a fire, you sense the temperature and the light, you mix it somehow, polarizers, blah blah. You connect it to the fan, which is blowing into the fire, and maybe you can make a feedback loop, sort of like in the real world. And I was like writing thesis about this, and this was pretty much like the first modular thing I've built. It was a Eurorack already. That looked very punky, but it somehow worked. And it was like the first modules were really like the ones focused on working with motors and sensors. But then once I told that to my boys, they were like, hey, so you built a quad VCA, huh? Can you make one for me also? And I was like, maybe. And I was like, yeah, let's just make a PCB and. Yeah, I think somebody told me you had a workshop with Rob Hordijk from Netherlands.
Yes.
And he's sometimes saying that you don't become a synthesizer builder, you are talked into being one because people want to have the things. So with the module it was a little bit like that, yeah. But yeah. It was sort of all happening at the same time, and I don't know really what was first and what was next. But maybe I can start with something.
Oh, this is a sequence.
Something basic. I have a sequencer for sequencing the rhythms. And it's triggering a D kick. That's like a kick circuit, and it has a tuning, so it can go quite high, and the tuning is controllable by control voltage, so you can plug in LFO and so it's like a tunable kick drum, and there is a resonance, a switch which sort of like when you are on the full resonance makes kind of this long decay, but it doesn't start self-oscillating, but this circuit is capable of it. So if I flip it, I have something like a VCO. And yeah, this I'm getting to the, there is like this normal output. There is output just for the click, which is normalized to the output. So if you want to mix it in a different proportion or use just the click, you can do that. And there is a square wave output. So, but the square wave output, yeah, listen now. And this is voltage controllable. so now listen. This is kind of a, it's kind of really unstable circuit. It's like a membrane of a drum, yeah. And if I modulate it with something a little bit more chaotic than just a triangle wave, to be honest, I don't know much what's happening, but I really and yeah, and then I can take a Modularsquare wave and then just plug it into some other input and so yeah, basically it's a kick drum, but so that's the square wave output. It's super crazy, and then you see there is a lot of harmonics, so it's great for filtering, and yeah, you can work with it, and it's really like, I also like this raw, like fuzzy sound it has. But what I also like is the normal output. So outputs, yeah. Then there is a trigger input, and there is a CV input for the tuning, and then there is one more input, which is labeled WTF, like what the fuck input, and it's seriously like I have no clue like what it's doing. So you have the normal trigger input, and then you have the WTF, so like somewhere else in the circuit. Yeah. And you can combine all these, and this is what I really like to do, just to feed it with triggers. Maybe let it self-oscillate a little bit, and maybe take some gain, change the tuning. just don't know how, but I really love this this module. I need to show one more thing. Just the Modularsquare wave going to the trigger input. Where you normally put the trigger, this one. There you put the square wave.
Only the ticky and some trigger. Yes.
Yeah, it was just a square wave going into the trigger input, just a simple square wave oscillator, and the ticky. And with a LFO, yeah.
Can you tell us about the sequencer?
Yeah. I'm getting there. Yeah. Let me show you first the other stuff. Yeah. So that's a T-kick. Yeah. Then basically there is like a section which we started to call it like a modular drum machine, and there is a noise generator. I just used the square wave out, and it's basically, and then there is a module which is called skis, and it's dual decay envelope, like a percussive envelope combined with 2 VCAs. It's 2 times decay and VCA. So basically the idea is that you have the noise generator, which has 6 different sound sources: white noise, pink noise, metallic noise, which is CV controllable, tunable. That's like the 808 drone, which if you put it through a high pass, it's great for cymbals. Digital noise, tunable voltage controllable square wave, and a dual square wave for making cowbells. Yeah, so the idea is that you take the dual decay combined with LF envelope, you just trigger it from the sequencer. Let's take, I don't know, digital noise, and we have a drum voice. Let's take another thing, like white noise, for example. I think you get the idea. But with the skis, there is like one hidden thing that I really like. There is like this switch on the front panel, and to the signal path it adds sort of like a really lo-fi MOSFET VCA, which sort of adds a bit of character to it. And one of the dudes from Czech Republic, his name was Standa Filip, and he was the first person we've met, and we've been really inspired by what he did. He made some really like super simplified drum machines, and you use this like ridiculously simple like VCAs for drum voices, and it didn't sound clean, but it sounded awesome. So if you there is a little bit of difference in the way how it decays. With some signals you hear it more, with some signals you hear it less. Now it's without. Now it's with. It gets some weird harmonics. I think you can hear it quite well with something like a cowbell. Yeah. So this is with the MOSFET VCA. This is the clean one.
Okay.
So I think you get the idea. So it gets some like dirt, and it's this old idea of some guy in building a drum machine in the early 80s in Czechoslovakia. That's this sound, yeah. So, and now the sequencer, okay? So, let's just take another pattern. I connect the kick drum. So I have like simple like 3 voice drum machine. Okay, so it has 6 outputs for sequencing 6 triggers or gates. So with these 6 buttons I can select which output I'm editing. So let's put the kick drum. Yeah, this is the trick about the sequencer, why it's made like this. It's really fast to program. Snare drum. And just something else. So first it's a fast sequencer to program like normal sequences, but then each of those voices can have like any number of steps, and we now see like 16 steps. But if I go to active step view, I can make it 3. You see this is repeating just 3 steps. It can be anything here, and these buttons are for navigating through bars. So it can be 2 times 16, 3 times 16, or 64, and then I can just navigate like this and make really complex patterns, which are really long, and they can be anything from 1 to 64 steps.
Is there a gate length for each step?
This is a trigger mode, and then there is a gate mode, and there is a...
I see.
So there is 2 modes, and now I'm getting to explain why. So let me just make it 16 steps again, and I'm editing now the cowbell. So I have these bar buttons to navigate through the different 16 steps. But if I hold a step, then I can use these buttons to edit sub-steps, what is inside this one step. So there's 4 of them. So so in this step I can make a double. So, and what you can do is like to delay it only a little bit. So that's sub-steps. And in case you want to edit gates, then each of the channels you can switch into trigger or gate mode. If you are editing it in the gate mode, which is something I have like on this one, it's all in gate mode, then basically with the sub-step you say how long the gate is in that step. Or if it goes...
Varied length in one sequence. You can have several different lengths of gates.
For each
short,
step.
small, medium.
Exactly. So let me just get rid of the envelope somewhere. So for this sound, I just use the VCA independently. I put have okay. Au revoir. So basically, I have now like different gates sequence here. I can make a little gap. And that's like for detailed working with gates. So yeah. So I really like this in here. So yeah. So for what did I say? Substeps, yeah. What else it can do? There is this button which is called pattern mute. So if I hold it, I can mute voices. That's nice. And then if I'm holding this one, the pattern mute button, here I can change patterns. I don't know where. There is some pattern here. There is another one here. And there is 16 patterns times 4. So there is 64 different patterns. Maybe I have some patterns here. And it saves it all on a there is a little micro SD card from the backside, so you can do backup because there is a lot of music you can program into this machine. And yeah. And then you can also like record just by tapping the buttons. There is a record mode, or there is a jump button. I really like that one. So if I hold the jump button and
so it repeats, it's ratchet.
It repeats the step I hold and then it continues playing from that step, yeah. So maybe I'll make just some. So you can use it for this kind of non-linear feedback, and it basically puts all the voices to this one step. So once you start programming polyrhythms, you can like synchronize them at the different steps, and I think that's quite useful thing. Then there's I don't know, extra features, copy paste. You can copy patterns, so you can So that's all done with a function button. There is a clock input. And there is an expander for clock output and a reset check. So I have now like these two sequencers in sync with the clock and reset. And for example, there is also a setting for the speed of the clock. Yeah. So if I want the gate sequencer to be twice faster, there is a like clock in ratio, or it can be twice slower or 4 times slower. It basically says like what the clock is, whether the clock is 1 substep or 2 substeps or 1 step or 2 steps. You get all these different clockings in different sequencers. So yeah, it's the sequencer.
Very good one.
So
I think it's difficult to put more function into this. Very, very generous sequencer into a very small size too.
Yeah. Like I think I don't feel there is a need for making it bigger really at this point. And like the way it was designed is like to be like one-handed sequencer really. So I always have sequencers on the right side because I'm right-handed, but then like these output jacks, they are on a ribbon cable. So if you are left-handed, you can put it on this side, the output jacks. People ask us, so this is an output expander. It's like, no, it's part of the module, but you can put it on the other side if you're left-handed. So yeah, we thought about this. What else?
What's the name?
Knit Rider. That's the name, yeah. It's like a knitting machine for making patterns, but also a little bit of Michael Knight. Yeah. So
Excuse me, is it possible to have on one panel one part trigger and one part?
of course, yeah.
Yeah, you choose each one.
Exactly.
individually.
Yeah, if I hold the function button, then on each voice I select whether it's trigger or gate.
Yeah.
So here I had one gate, and yeah, all of them were triggers, and here all of them are gates, but it could be like any combination. So basically I have one gate here, and maybe I can use it just to change a pitch of the kick drum. Yeah, so it's just it was just the gate going to the CV input, and with the attenuator you can see how much it changes the pitch.
Can you add swing as well?
The swing you can swing the clock that's coming to the input.
That's the easiest way.
So that's the easiest way, but like with the sub steps, because you have 4 steps inside one step, you can get
them inside.
you can like edit the swing manually, but there is like no dedicated swing settings.
Is there several directions, or is it just left to right?
It always goes from step 1 to step 16.
I mean, from left. Is there like pendulum or
No.
or reverse? No, it's
Mm-mm.
just like 1 to 16.
Yeah, yeah. There's no like different scanning modes.
So no random either.
I show you the random.
Ah.
So
Specification.
what you do if you want to do it, I just loaded a new pattern. What you you can do if you want to make a random pattern.
It's Bastl random.
So yeah,
It's great.
yeah.
Yeah.
I,
It's a good
yeah.
demonstration.
Yeah, I thought it was a bit unnecessary.
Yeah.
I do random patterns like this all the time, and yeah. So yeah, there is a random. Yeah. So you want to make a short break, or shall we continue? How do you
Well,
feel?
you want to make a break, maybe.
Yes.
I would just like to drink a water
Yes.
and a bit of the whiskey and
okay. Let's do some break and we will come back in 10 minutes.
cool.
Right. Cool.
So who came late? There is a whiskey. Yeah.
I think it's also good for the audience. When you see all these tiny things, they can also enjoy because it's not only performance, it's also
I don't want to watch laptops anymore.
and this actually is exposing, same like this high stuff, like this few meters away. It's just exposing the
Ouais, je trouve que son esprit est quand même.
It changed the screen.
the
It's just a combined, isn't it?
Je sais pas si tu as encore des autres choses, d'autres éléments qui
and different screens, so the
Ils ont juste.
Sérieux? Il cherche apparemment il y a un problème
Une prise.
avec une prise ou sinon il y a un problème avec son passe.
Ah, d'accord.
and now he has like a relay, like this clicking.
I emailed him around this one.
It's really nice.
Hopefully I can get one.
It's really great.
Yeah.
He was like it's prototype, but you know he likes to actually.
What kind of power supply do you need?
It's a 12 volt.
Yeah.
12 volt direct.
C'est facilement réalisable.
How many?
C'est ce qui est intéressant.
Like 1 amp.
Ah ouais.
Le mien était beaucoup plus épais. En fait. J'avais des chutes.
Yeah, it's clear that he doesn't. That's why I'm trying to make lots of money. He's just doing things because he likes to do.
C'est le gros là.
Let's try this.
Ouais, j'ai vu.
Somewhere else after Paris,
Yes.
Non, le connecteur il me donne.
Non.
Donc, ça va être
I love this. But that inverter seems to stop the cleaning of the six.
It sounds like voltage control.
It's not enough.
And I can use the bottom if you want.
Ça va? C'est bien?
problem with this method is that you have to drink to change the pitch, yeah?
Yes. Sometimes if it's hanging, sometimes if you swing it, then it's so yeah, I guess we continue. Yeah, so I just connected the solenoid module. This is what it does, yeah. Yeah, so this is a snare drum. I usually tune it different. I usually put screws in there, but I don't know where they are. So now it's tuned to lower bass. So if you put more screws, it's more snappy. And this is a micro hi-hat. It's open or closed. And the nice thing about it is if you close it, it starts to open after a while, you know. Yeah, this is a very good whiskey. Yeah, I don't know why, but we go to these like places when it's very loud, like musikmessen, and we usually like I usually hang the bottle here, and then we have the motor like hitting the bottle. But then if you in the musikmesse, I'm not sure if anybody has been there from you, but it's like really loud. But if you are the opposite side of the hallway by the toilet, you still hear the bottle just cuts through everything. You know? It's really amazing. I don't know how it does that, but yeah. So okay. So the solenoid module, yeah. So basically, I'm just sending triggers from the sequencer, and there's 4 trigger inputs and 4 outputs for these motors. Sorry. And there is one knob which is actually changing the output pulse width for the motors. So
Pardon.
So you can use it for kind of velocity control. And then there is an expander, 2 HP, which is just 4 CV inputs for controlling it for each motor like independently. But usually like the motors, they can be different inside and they need a little bit of time to actually move all the way to hit the object. So yeah. The thing about this module is that it needs an external power supply just for the motor, and it's in this case those are designed for 12 volts. It's a normal 12 volt power supply which we just found here. So yeah, it works.
You don't have to use anything big. It doesn't. They don't.
This
take
one
a
is
lot of power.
well, it really depends on these.
Okay.
Those are quite small. They don't take that much power.
Yeah.
And this power supply is 1.2 amps. Yeah, 1200 milliamps. And it's enough. Yeah.
And where are you getting your solenoids from? Do you sell them as well, or?
We try. We just ordered a big box of solenoids and they were wrong type. But I can always like send people. I usually send people links to eBay.
Okay.
Like this type, like we have, is from eBay. We wanted to get them directly from the manufacturer, and they just made a mistake and sent the wrong type. Yeah, that happens sometimes.
Can we go on?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because I think everybody on internet wants to.
Okay. Yeah. Sort of started already. But really move with this product placement. So yeah.
Okay, let's move on.
We're online.
Yeah, back.
Cool. Nice. So I just connected the solenoid module, and that's for connecting these like motors. Ah, no, the wrong sequencer. Ah, there is one. So, and I was just explaining the velocity thing, that with the knob you can change how long it takes for the motor to hit the object. And with this knob you can set you can basically control the velocity. And there's 4 trigger ins, 4 motor outputs. It needs a external power supply just for the motors. They can take it really depends on the type you get, but these, yeah, they get maybe 400 milliamps at peak or something. I don't really know. So yeah, you don't really want to drive that from the bus board. And what any type of motor does, like when it stops, in case this one goes down, but if you have a spinning motor and it stops, it sort of on the coil itself, it inducts back some electricity. It generates a bit of electricity by slowing down, and that generates some weird kind of drawbacks. It can do some like motor noise, and to avoid that, like these modules, like we have one for this type for the solenoids. Then we have for servo motors. That's motors where you set an angle. So that module can set the angle of the motor with a CV. I use that, for example, that in our shop we have like this solenoid module on the servo motor, and it's changing an angle and it's hitting a snare drum. So it's changing the angle, therefore the sound of the snare drum. And then this is controlled, the movement is controlled by the LFO, and this is trigger, and it sounds awesome. And yeah. And then we have one for DC motors, for spinning motors. It's like fan, computer fan could be used. I don't know, you can make a VCO from the fan. Yeah, all these like things. And the way these are designed, they all need external power supply, and the Eurorack circuitry is optically isolated from the motor driving circuitry. So there is no ground connection. The only thing that connects your modular with the motors, there is like little LED like blinking light and a sensor like somewhere inside the module, and it's an optical transfer, so therefore it like avoids any noise transfer through ground. So there is no ground connection, and it's very like safe to connect any type of motor or like a bigger power supply to your modular, because I guess that's what you want, right? How much is this box? That's a professional question.
The price of the box?
Yes.
I don't.
No, I'm just joking. It's a full box, no. Basically, you don't want to destroy it with something like a motor. So we really thought about that, and we tried to do our best to make it as safe as possible. And yeah, I don't know. There's nothing that can go wrong. I hope. Yeah, I did my best. There should be no problem. So yeah. That's the acoustic drum machine then. Yeah. So maybe I just disconnect these cables so I have more space for doing more patches here. Yeah, we have a couple of more things to show. And yeah, maybe I can show you the filter. The filter is called Cinnamon, and let's take a square wave to input, and let's listen the output. So the filter, slow pass, high pass, band pass. I especially like the high pass myself, but yeah. And there is of course cutoff and resonance control, and you can CV control the cutoff. There is one CV input which has an attenuator and one CV input which has no attenuator, and it's watt per octave input for the cutoff frequency. Well, and then there is an input volume jack, which is very important for this particular filter, which I'll show in a moment. But if you put the resonance on full, you have quite nice sine wave. So with two such filters, it's easy to make quite nice FM voice, and it tracks watt per octave in this basic mode. And then what is very special to this filter are like these switches. There's 3 of those. One is for overdriving the input, so it's much more gain on the input of the signal. And then there are these 2 switches which change the character of the resonance. Yeah. Before I show you how it sounds when using it as a filter, I can just show you how it sounds on the self-oscillation. There is one which is sort of like square wavy. So usually filters, they have kind of a sine wavy resonance, not always, but and yeah, this one has the switch that turns on kind of square wavy thing, and one which is more like saw to the resonance, and you can also combine those two to get something in between. Okay, down with resonance and up with the input signal. And then, like, once you start using these character switches to change the character, then you are really on finding the sweet spot between the resonance amount and the input volume of the filter, and then also the cutoff. But let me do some tweaking. Yeah? So that's the normal sine wavy mode. Yeah? Add more resonance. So that's quite gentle type of filter. But once I switch, let's say this square wavy character, I'm on very high resonance, but if I pull it down a little bit, gets a really like different character. Also with the sawtooth kind of resonance. Especially in this area. It's just different from the plain sine wave resonance. And there is always combination of these. Like very easygoing, expectable filter, or it can get into point where it already can start to collapse, and you can really push it into the collapse if you overdrive the input. The more you overdrive it, the crazier it gets, and then the input volume knob makes so much sense. So overdrive and changing the. This is just changing the input level. This is cool, that's a low pass. With a high pass it's even more even nicer, because what it basically does, it adds harmonics, so you sort of combine this subtractive and additive thing inside the filter, and basically by turning the input volume of a millimeter completely changes the response of the filter. So I usually put a VCA on the input just to be able to modulate that, yeah. Yeah, and there's also band pass. It's also nice. Yeah.
Nice!
So what is the name of that filter?
Cinnamon.
Cinnamon.
Cinnamon, yeah. So it's a 5 HP filter. It can do a lot of sounds, a lot of different characters. I'm a high pass freak, so I'm mainly in the high pass mode. So, but yeah, at least you have a bit of idea how it sounds. And there's all those three outputs, and it's really great to combine them, do some crossfading between high pass, low pass. It's all the stuff I really like doing. So yeah, I think it's really good to try that. And yeah, it's like having many filters in one. It tracks volt per octave. You can use it as an oscillator. Those switches, they can break the tracking. Depends how aggressive you get with the settings. But in the sine wave character, it tracks pretty well over 8 octaves maybe. So you can really use it as a sine wave oscillator. Use two of those filters for FM voice. Yes, of course. Yeah. So like there is. So I'm now just sending trigger to the input. And then with the character switches, it really changes a lot, yeah? And then the input level, especially if you overdrive it. So yeah, that's a different kind of pinging, yeah? But on the high pass it also it sounds different. So, and that's triggering the input, but you can also trigger the CV to get something else. And